It's my pleasure to introduce today's presenter, Mark Rhodes, Director of Sales and Marketing at Continia. He'll walk us through how Continia's document capture and expense management can help you automate processes in Business Central. Mark, I'll turn it over to you.
I really appreciate that, Chad. Welcome to everybody. Looking forward to spending a few minutes with you to talk about, you name it, process improvement, AI. Ultimately, it's about saving you time and getting you home to focus on the things that are more important in life. And so that's what we're going to go through today. Really, really appreciate the coordination and support from the Sabre team. We've been working together for several years and on several mutual customers. And if you want to talk to them sometime about the benefits that the other customers are seeing, I'm sure they'd like to talk to you about that. Today, we're going to go through, give you a flavor of what's going on. I'm going to take a medium deep dive to give you an idea of what is capable with automation, AI-driven automation. In fact, I'm trying not to say AI too much, but we'll say it enough for you to get the picture. And then we'll, as Chad mentioned, we'll take some questions at the end. So let's go ahead and dive in. I am going to find my slides and share my screen, and we can get going here. I get feedback from folks time to time. They feel slighted if they don't see any PowerPoint slides up front, so we try to accommodate. So no, seriously, there are a couple things to give you a picture of and a walkthrough before we dive into the actual demos. I'll get the slides out of the way first so we can spend the rest of the time just walking through examples and give you an idea. Basically, if you're here, you're probably looking to solve some sort of challenge, whether you have too many errors happening right now, too much rework, you're chasing people down for information or approvals. Maybe you already have an automation system in place and there's some gaps with it. Maybe it's not really well integrated with Business Central and you're looking for some improvement there. But basically, you're spending time on activities that you shouldn't be, right? And we can help with that. So we're gonna talk about automation, quite frankly. And so we are going to talk about document capture today and expense management, right? For principally invoice handling and expenses, employee expenses like reimbursable expenses, corporate credit card expenses, mileage, that type of thing. We do have two other solutions available in North America. One is document output. Kind of the opposite of document capture. Document capture is for capturing inbound documents, not just invoices, and we'll dive into that. Document output is for sending out documents, reports, really any piece of data from Business Central out to your external stakeholders like customers and vendors. What we typically see it used for is sending out order confirmations, certainly invoices, statements, reminders, right? Can help you with certainly your key commerce processes, but also collections, AR. And really, again, anything that's in BC from a report or document standpoint or a piece of data, you can set up to go out automatically on a schedule and hyper-personalize those communications. So you can tag in specific documents to be attached to that outbound email. You can use very specific language, very specific languages, and so forth. Really dynamic toolkit for that. We also have Continia Finance, and that is a series of, well, it's really a toolbox for the accounting staff to add and facilitate their day-to-day processes, right? Just adding journal entries in, being able to tag descriptions onto that, for example, or auto code those journal entries. So really a set of tools just speed things up on a daily basis. One of the key modules we have is for associations. So you can set up associations for your vendors and customers. There's Essentials pack there that is available for free, set of tools that you can just implement and start using right away. So super easy for you to download it from the Microsoft Marketplace and have at it. Okay, so real quick about us. We have been around and at this for quite a while. There's a couple key differences in just who we are and how we approach helping you. One is that we work through partners. It's fairly different than other add-on solution providers. And so what that means is you see something you like and you want to move forward with, just saving time and making your life easier. Your next step is to contact your representative from Sabre. They will be able to help you out if you need a more specific demo or have questions. They'll put the quote together for you. They're the ones to implement the solution and provide you the support as well. We do that because on the one hand, we're trying to save you time. On the other hand, we don't want to have you have something that takes more time. And when you get another vendor involved, that's going to take more time. And we simplify that by just having the Sabre team take care of, and since they already know you and your environment, it's just much simpler for you. The other thing is, we only work with Business Central and its predecessor, Nav. That's all we've ever worked with. And so our solutions are very specifically designed to work with BC and NAV. And the fact that we don't work with any other solutions, we take a very different approach, again, than everybody else out there. You normally will have an add-on solution that runs outside of Business Central. You have to build an integration to that. You got to deal with that integration and maintain it and all that. We eliminate all of that. We add code and add tables inside Business Central. So it's all in one spot. That's all you're going to see today. All the data is in the same spot. You don't have to learn a new system. It's all right there. So much simpler, certainly from an implementation standpoint, but every day you're going to save time and save a lot of focus. So a couple key differences. Let's go ahead and dive into document capture. Like I said, not just for invoices. So any inbound document, you can see a partial list here, and I'll show you what we provide you out of the box, or you can create your own document categories to capture other types of documents. Fantastic way to really expand that ROI. And once you have invoices up and running, go look for other business processes to automate and, again, save you some time. Now, with invoices, we have a number of elements, and we continue to build this solution based on 12,000 customers around the globe, providing us input all the time. It's a pretty robust solution, as you can imagine. And the thing I like most about it is how configurable it is. It is not a, you have to set up everything perfectly before you can turn it on and start using it kind of solution. You can set it up to be a little automated, or quite a bit automated, or fully automated. It's up to you. And you can change it over time as you learn how it works and how you want to improve or add new vendors or add new solutions or whatever the case may be. You can expand it over time, and it's going to grow with your business. And so we're really employing a lot of new technologies here, including AI, of course, to speed up the configuration and the ongoing adaptation. But again, it's all inside BC and all in your control. So we'll dive into quite a few of these areas. Real quick, I want to explain the approval options. Certainly when an invoice is sent out for somebody to review and approve, we're trying to facilitate that as well. We're really trying to get the finance team to a management by exception basis here. So a lot of this can be automated. Finance doesn't have to do anything, but they can monitor what's happening. Back to that approval. Invoice is sent out to somebody for approval. The approver will get an email. Hey, you have an invoice to review and approve. They click the link in the email, and it would take them to our web approval portal. Now they can log into Business Central, of course, but not everybody wants everyone in the core system. And of course, there's a lot to see in there and a lot of distractions and so forth. So we provide a separate web approval portal that I'll show you. Now they're focused on just the invoices they need. And it's all the same functionality as in BC, and it is BC data. It's just a different view. So they're automatically logged in the web approval portal. They can review, and off they go. It's also mobile optimized, so they can do this from anywhere. So now, hopefully, you're not chasing everybody now all the time to get those approvals done. Okay. Now, one of the things that we don't cover here in the United States is payments. And the reason being is because it's really, really complicated. We do have a global payment solution, but it's not adapted for the US. So we've partnered with another company called McCorma. They've also been at this for about 30 years, processing payments. And so right within inside Business Central, just like us as we're built inside BC, you have the option to access the McCorma vendor validation function, and then their remote payment services. So you can basically queue up your payments, click a button, and send off your payments. They figure out and take care of, does the vendor want a check, or do they like ACH, or do they want a virtual credit card payment? And so a lot of options there. Again, they take care of all that for you. And so if you're interested in hearing more about that, we can arrange that. Just contact, again, your Sabre representative, and we'll get that set up for you. All right, let's go ahead and talk real quick about expense management, then we'll jump into the demo. With expense management, again, a very configurable solution. Here's the trick with expense management. We're trying to make them go away as quickly as possible. Nobody likes dealing with expenses. That's the person submitting it. That's the person reviewing and approving it. That's certainly the finance team. Let's get those expenses through the system and reimburse as quickly as possible. So we'll give you a configurable system, embed your expense policies, let AI really help out with the entry, make it fast and efficient. That's really what we're after here. And so very easy to follow through. And again, I'll show you some examples. There's a couple different ways one of your teammates can submit an expense. Generally, they're going to use the expense app, and I'll show you that one. But we also have a browser-based portal they can use. They can email receipts in to start as well. And so that they can submit reimbursable expenses, mileage reimbursements. We handle per diems as well. And then, of course, it's all in BC, and the approval flow is much like it is with Invoices. We also support corporate credit card charges, and this is a really lovely process that we've built here. What you'll be able to do is set up an automatic feed from your bank. So when the corporate credit card charge is used, you'll see that charge come across from the bank into your Business Central system, and it's pushed out to the expense user that used that card. So it pops up on their app. Basically, all they have to do is attach a receipt, and they submit it. So not only, of course, the finance team has visibility as soon as that card is used. We're streamlining the submission, so there's no more bunching it up to before a deadline at the end of the month. And now those corporate credit card charges are not going to be a surprise either when you either get the expense submitted or you get that corporate credit card statement. So you know about it beforehand. Now, when you do get that statement, you're going to be able to automatically reconcile that statement inside BC as well. So no more with a roller back and forth on paper or loading it into Excel and comparing lines and going through all of that. It's basically a couple buttons inside BC. All right, so that's a good preview. Let's go ahead and dive into a walkthrough of invoice automation. And I want to take you through one invoice, basically start to finish, so you can see a typical scenario, how it can work for you. And then we'll go back and we'll look underneath the cover and inside the box a little bit to see how this is all working. You can see I've got an email set up with 2 invoices attached. Okay, I'm a vendor right now. I'm emailing in an invoice. Pretty straightforward. Let me go ahead and send in these emails. We're going to flip over to my Business Central system here. And yeah, let's start here. So we're waiting for those invoices to show up in the system. Again, we want to get to a management by exception basis. So guess what? We provide this dashboard here for the AP team to go ahead and monitor what's happening. And they can see the life cycle of the invoice right here through our activity queues. It's read by the OCR engine, imported into Business Central. And then depending on the rules that you have set up and how much automation you've specified, etc., you'll see where the invoice goes next. It could be created and stop there. Maybe it's sent out automatically for approval. And so it'll be a purchase invoice for approval or waiting approval. Maybe you've set up for automatic approval. If you're matching to POs, for example, and you have a formal PO process, hey, maybe you don't need to go through an invoice approval process. We can just match that against the PO. And so you automatically approve it and it becomes a release purchase invoice. This is the final checkpoint for the finance team. Maybe they haven't seen the invoice up until this point. Hopefully they haven't, but they'll see it show up in the release purchase invoice queue. They can review it, make any updates, and then they post it to create the payment. Now, if you don't have automation set up, if you don't want it to be automated, if it's a new vendor, those kind of things, if it needs some attention, it goes to the ready to register queue. I call that the exception queue. We'll get into that too. Before I deal with those invoices, I want to show you the different document categories we provide out of the box. So you can see this list. This is the standard list. You can add your own, but great opportunity again to automate other business processes. If you want to automate the reception of some sort of document and attach it to a vendor record, there's your document category for it. A popular adaptation is for W-9s. Why bother getting an email from a vendor, seeing the W-9, detaching it, opening up Business Central, and finding the vendor, going through that whole process? You can have it happen automatically. Likewise, you want to attach records or documents to your existing customers. We've got a category for that. We have a category to receive a customer's purchase order and create a sales order out of it. So again, a lot of flexibility here, and you can add your own. We have 2 invoices ready to import. The 2 that I sent in, I'm going to import them. Now, we don't want to wait for the job queue to run. We want to jump right into it, but this will run automatically in the background for you via job queue. What's happening here is we're bringing in those 2 invoices. One is from a vendor we've never seen before. So we'll see that kind of scenario. The second, again, semi-automated. We're bringing that invoice in, and my system is still warming up, I can see here. We'll see it run a little faster in a second. Bring that invoice in. We're going to compare it to the rule set. What information do I want to capture off that invoice? How do I want to route it? How do I want to code it? Do I send it out automatically? Are there any errors with the invoice? Running through all of that, figuring out what to do with it, it all happens automatically. Guess what? An approval request has been sent, which means I took that invoice, did all that comparison, figured out what to do with it, created the purchase invoice. Here it is. I can open it up, and I can see it's pending approval by Robin. So it's already been sent out. Robin would get a notice. Nobody's done anything to do that. Still warming up a little bit, so I apologize for that. So again, the finance team needs to jump in and make any corrections. Sure, they can do that, but hopefully just let this run on its own. And it will speed up. It's just taking a minute. Unfortunately, it times out after about 10 minutes. So I didn't move through the slides quickly enough, apparently. All right, we're getting there. In the meantime, let's jump over here and log into our web approval portal. So as you saw, that invoice is ready to be reviewed and approved by Robin. I'm logging into the web approval portal as Robin. Here's the invoice sitting right here. And let's go ahead and open it up, see what we're dealing with. And of course, we would see everything that's listed there that they have to work on. It's just one invoice right now. And isn't this nice? I can see a copy of the invoice. I can see that I am the first approver, and it's actually going to Esther next. That tells me I don't have, as Robin, enough approval limit to approve it on my own. I could add a comment here. I could add attachments. If I have permissions, I can drop down here and I can actually change the coding. So look here, I've got a couple other accounts. I don't have the full chart of accounts. So I've got some options, but I've got some guardrails up as well. If I want to code it to a dimension, like we have department as a dimension in our system, I can do that too. I could even add another line, or I could invoke a formula that would automatically split this up across GL accounts or across dimensions. So I've got quite a few things I can do here. Of course, if I want to reject it, I can specify a rejection reason. Apparently I didn't push that correctly. There we go. Select a rejection reason and add a comment, and it will be sent back. I can send it on to somebody else. Maybe it doesn't pertain to me. Maybe I want somebody else to take a look at it. Maybe I want it back or not. I have those options there. But to keep the process moving, of course, we want to approve it. Now, a couple really nice things about this web approval portal. Super easy to go back and look at what I've worked on if I need to go back and check on something. And if I'm going to be away, there's no need to hold up the approval process. I can delegate somebody else to take care of these things while I'm out. So some nice functionality there. Again, all mobile optimized, and it's all BC data. So in real time, let's go back here. Here it is, pending approval. Now it's pending approval by Esther, right? That's already been updated because, again, it's all right here. So Esther would approve it. I'm just going to go ahead and finish that up. Second level approval. And like I said, now it becomes a release purchase invoice, reaches that final checkpoint. Here we are. The AP team can review this and decide, yeah, we're good to go. Let's go ahead and post it. So I don't know how many clicks that was in total to process this invoice from a semi-automated setup. What, 10? I don't know. We're really trying to streamline the process, let the computer do the things that it does really well, and just have key intervention points when you need it. Again, complete control on all of this, and I'll show that to you next. So let's jump into the exception queue. Go look for that other invoice that I sent in. Here it is at the bottom. And you can see all these other invoices that are queued up that need some attention. I have a vendor associated, but down here I don't. And like I said, this is an invoice from a brand new vendor. Don't have this vendor in the system, don't know what to do with it, right? Nice checkpoint for those new vendors, a good fraud protection. Okay, so we got this invoice. Well, we need to assign a vendor for it. So let's go ahead and create that vendor. And it actually reads the information off the invoice for you. So you can just hit create. And then what it actually does is not only creates that vendor in Business Central, but now it's created a brand new, what we call template or rule set for the invoices for this vendor. Now we have this concept of master templates and child templates. So you can set up the common elements on a master template and then dial it in per vendor. And when I mean those dialing it in, it's how do I want to route these? How do I want to code them? What information do I want to pull off of the invoice? Do I want to match to a PO? I'll show you where all these settings are, but we need that rule set to determine those things. So we've got our rule set, and then we've got AI working at the same time here. So what happened was we created this new template, template 5, and you can see AI automatically went in and read all the information off the invoice for us, and it filled it in the appropriate fields for us. So we got invoice number and invoice date, due date. We determined the routing because it didn't see anything off the bat about how we should route this invoice, but we could interpret that. We've got an amount excluding tax, amount including tax, even a description. Did a really nice job understanding the information off of this invoice. Part of this, of course, is we're doing error checks. And you can see down here at the bottom, we've got our comments section. We're doing 50-some error checks in the background. So a lot of flexibility. Again, if we're automating, we want to make real sure that we're capturing the information correctly. We got a couple errors. Okay, one, it says accounts do not match, or amounts do not match, sorry. And guess what? It does the math for us and says, wait a minute, doesn't make sense, doesn't add up, something's wrong. And sure enough, we didn't capture the freight because part of our standard rule set is we assume we don't have freight. But guess what? For this vendor, we've got freight. So let's capture freight. Super easy. We're going to go up and we're going to say, hey, I need to capture freight. We're going to go find our freight field. And we've got freight here. Now, I'm just going to go ahead and tell it, you know what? It's called express delivery. There. Now it knows, oh, going forward, you want to capture freight. I'm going to look for something called express delivery. And now it's updated the math and that error went away. We're left with two errors that say, hey, I don't know how you want to code these amounts. And we don't want to guess on that. That's way too important, right? So we're going to go up to accounts for amounts, and we're going to specify those two. And I'm just wrote in the good old miscellaneous account here, freight item or freight amounts. And look at here, I went through that pretty quickly in the last line, but we have a lot of different options in terms of how you can code invoices. And this is at the header and line level. And so let's put it to a charge item. Go find our miscellaneous freight. Okay, super. rerun our error checks. Okay, we're done. This invoice is now, or I should say the invoices from Gozer Enterprises are now automated going forward. Don't have to figure out what to capture and interpret the information. It's all done. If I wasn't doing the explanation, I think that whole process would have taken me, 20 seconds or 25 seconds, right? So setting up a new invoice, not a big deal. There it is, and it's ready to go going forward. So we're just going to go ahead and register that invoice. Now, we haven't set up any automation to automatically create that purchase invoice going forward, or sending it out for approval. So let's take a look at that. I'm going to go back to my first invoice I have here and show you basically the black box. Let's open up our template card. This is where all the magic happens in terms of, do we create the purchase invoice automatically? Do we want to pick up invoice lines or just header information? What is step one? Maybe creating the invoice like you've seen. Maybe we're going to match to a PO or a receipt. Step two, do we submit it out for approval automatically or not? Maybe we skip the approval, right? Do we want to match? Yes or no? We could auto run that match and specify whether we're matching to an order or a receipt. If we pick up a variance account, we'll be able to specify a dollar or a percentage amount that we're willing to accept for tolerances. Down here, we've got what fields we're capturing, whether they're required or not. As you can see, right, a lot of options. And guess what? These are probably not going to be really perfect day one of go live for every one of your vendors. And that was my point earlier. Doesn't have to be. That's okay. Maybe you start out a little bit slower. Maybe you have a checkpoint built in, and then as you get more comfortable, you turn on more automation. Super. It allows you to do that. Super quick. More on the matching if we've got anybody out there, and I would imagine a lot of Savers customers do issue POs and want to do 2- and 3-way matching based on that. We can automate that. As you can see with this invoice, go back to our template card, and as I just showed, we are auto running that match to a receipt or order. And what we're doing here is actually pulling off the order number off of the invoice. We're capturing that. Where is it? Right here. And using that as a guidepost to go look in the system. And guess what? We found a receipt that matches up with these items and these numbers, right? And it automatically did that match for us. So we did stop this invoice, but we could send it on automatically. We can see how it did this matching. If we need to investigate any discrepancies, you can see here's all the outstanding lines for open receipts for this vendor. And then down at the bottom, we also have the same for orders as well. And right here, you can see where we found the match. If it doesn't reference that order number in the invoice, great. We know all the stuff we're expecting to receive and be invoiced for. And so we can, again, look in the system because we're in the system and figure that out and try to do that match. So you can get very specific in terms of those tolerances at a header level and what you're going to match at the line level, et cetera. Very, very flexible because, again, we're trying to really dial in that automation. Okay, so that's what we're doing with the invoices. There is one other thing I want to show you super quick that is one of my favorite features, and it's called document search. And it's right here again on the Roll Center. Let me pop this open. When an invoice goes through, or any of these documents go through that OCR engine, we're capturing every character on every page. One of the questions often comes up, hey, can you capture lines, and how many lines can you capture, how many pages? We can handle documents up to 500 pages. And if you get a document with multiple invoices in the one document, we can split that apart, or we can combine it. A lot of flexibility that way, but every character is captured. So an asterisk, the letter A, a period, a number, you can all search for that. Now, some typical scenarios, right? Hey, what are all the invoices? I'm looking for an invoice from First Up Consultants. I need to see the ones we've gotten, right? There we go. Here's the 3 invoices we have from First Up. This last invoice here is the invoice that we processed first, the semi-automated one that I walked through the web approval portal with you. So it pulls it up. Hey, great. I can see it. I can refer back to it, but we're not done there, right? You can go back and actually look at how did we process it? What information did we capture? How did we route it? What did we code it, et cetera, et cetera. Super easy to drill down into that detail. I can download the actual file of the invoice if I want to send it to somebody else outside the system. Look here, I can look back at the email that came from the vendor when that invoice came in, and there's my original email we started with. So if there's any contacts from the vendor, comments, etc., super easy to get to that. And then I can use find entries, of course, to go back and look at all of the ledger entries that stemmed from this invoice, including the GL, of course, and all the other different ledgers, etc. So, and if you're not familiar, I'll just go ahead and pop that open. We have 2 GL entries here. See our debit and credit and coding that we made as updates and so forth. And guess what? The invoice is still visible for us. Super easy to do research. And again, when I talk about every character, right? Let's look for just ST. There we go. Invoice where ST showed up. Let's go to our second invoice we sent in. And the ST is actually down here and don't cross the streams. And guess what? We didn't even capture that information. It's not saved as formal information in the system, but we can still get to it. So really easy to go back and look at warranty information or the price you paid or who you ordered from or anything like that. That's how we're trying to simplify your life, processing those inbound documents such as invoices. Again, a lot of flexibility. You can take it at your pace. But you will start seeing time savings day one. That is guaranteed, and I hope you get excited by that. So that's what we have for you there. Let's talk about expenses for a minute. Let me do a quick time check. Yeah, we're doing pretty good. Chad, still with me?
Yeah.
Okay, super. Let's go ahead and talk about expenses. And as I mentioned, there's a couple different ways to submit expenses. Let's go back. My app emulator went to sleep, so we'll restart that. The most popular way for your team to submit expenses, when they incur the expense, get the receipt, take a picture of the receipt, and they can finish the expense right then and there, because honestly, it's a couple clicks, or they can come back to it later and just pull up the saved picture of the receipt. And so the hope is when you make it that simple and straightforward, people would rather just take care of it and move on. And that way, you don't have to track those receipts and come back to it later and have the big stack to deal with and everything else. So hopefully you see that kind of benefit and change in behavior. We can't promise anything, but you know how that goes. We've got basics options here, right? We can enter a new expense. We've got the ability to get mileage reimbursement. We have per diem options, or we could batch everything in a report. And that's one of the options we give. You can submit those expenses individually or go with that more traditional, let me group everything together in a report. So let's pop in and say, well, let me go ahead and enter a new expense. And it'll take you through an expense beginning to end, again, so you can see the full process. And then we'll back up on a couple items. Let me go get a receipt that I have saved. I got one from the food market here. All right, now what happens is OCR reads the information off the receipt, and then AI kicks in and says, oh, I'm detecting some coding patterns. Let me assist in the data entry for you. And you can see the information it put in already. I see you've coded similar types of expenses with a cash or private card, and you classified it as food and beverages. Super. I have one field left that is required to submit this expense. Of course, let me go ahead and put in a coffee. There we go. And I can submit it. And that's it. I'm done submitting an expense. Hopefully that is easy enough for just about anybody to almost get excited about. Again, trying to keep it efficient and quick. Let's go back to Business Central because again, this is all Business Central data. I am going to push this synchronize button. It's another thing that'll just run automatically in the background for you, but we're trying to speed up the process here, of course. So what we're doing is bringing in any expenses that have been entered or even started and saved. We'll know about that. So again, great visibility for the finance team to see everything that's happening. And we got a couple expenses that come in, and we can open it up and keep tabs on everything. We have 6 expenses here. We have 4 that say they are MasterCard related expenses. So these are those corporate credit card charges that came over automatically from the bank, and we'll look at those in a minute. And then we've got 2 expenses from our user here. And this second one, that's the one I just submitted. So you can see the details on it. It's already pending approval. And we have the concept of a shared approval group as well. It normally would go to a supervisor and then on up if need be, but we do have shared approval groups if you want to set it up that way. So it's pending approval, and you can see the details on it there. Super. That means it's already been sent to this person's supervisor, which happens to be Robin. Let's restart. Whoops, that's not what I wanted. This one. And this works the same as it did for invoices. And you can see a couple of expenses here. I can open this up. I can make the updates. I can see how it's coded. I can see the receipt. I can change if I have the permissions, et cetera, et cetera. So you know how this works. Let's just go ahead and approve these expenses. And I don't have to go back to the menu. It pops up the next one for me. We'll just go ahead and approve it. We'll come back. We're going to refresh in BC. Again, all BC data. So all of this is instantaneous. And we're going to see, guess what? It's now, whoop. We'll go back into our queue. And you can see those expenses have been released. They're bold and green. They are ready to go. Let's go ahead and post one. And that creates the reimbursement. And you can reimburse the employee through as a vendor. So cut a payment to them, or of course, reimburse them through payroll. So that's as complicated as an expense needs to be, right? A couple clicks to enter it, send it over for approval. Again, I don't know, total of 10 clicks, something along those lines to push that expense through the whole process. And we're done. Now, again, very configurable system, right? So let's go back in here. I'm going to start another expense. And let's go pull just another, we'll pull this one. Actually, no, let's go pull that one. This one's in euros. Super. It figures out, yeah, that's in euros. And now it doesn't show the USD, the dollars, because it's going to put this back into BC and say, okay, what exchange rates do you have set up, and do that calculation for it. But it captures some basic information. Otherwise, we're going to enter in the expense type, hardware, I don't know. And, oh, actually, it was a gas station purchase, but it doesn't really matter. We'll just say tool. All right. Now, we could submit this, but you can see here, we've got a couple other options down here, including adding allocation lines. So if I select that, I can actually break this receipt up and code it across geo accounts, expense types, or maybe different dimensions if I want to. I also can add this to an expense report. And what we don't see here is maybe like dimensions. It takes me about a minute to add a dimension inside BC. I'll show you where I do that. I'm just not going to follow through on the whole thing for sake of time here. But again, complete control inside BC. Here are all the fields that may show up for the expense user. If I want to add in a dimension, I could just go here and I could go new line, and I can pick a dimension like department was one that we used earlier, right? And basically add in any field that I want from Business Central. So super easy to make updates and add fields and make them required or not. I can even choose contingent fields. If I choose food with guests, look here, now we've got the attendees field and it's required. So I got to say, who did I buy food for? A lot of flexibility here is the point. That's all I wanted to get across. Let's go ahead and talk about corporate credit cards. You saw that we're in Business Central. I've got a little notification here, and that's what's sitting out here are the same corporate credit card charges. So I could start it and enter it here, but hey, isn't this nice? It feeds in all the information for me. All I need to do is add a receipt. AI figures out which I want. I get to verify that, and I add in my required description, of course, and I submit it. And that's all I need to do for corporate credit cards as well. And there we go. Okay. Mileage. Quite a few people get mileage reimbursement as well. And again, we're trying to keep this real streamlined. Taps into your phone's GPS to figure those things out. But if I don't want to, I can start. And I am located in Fort Collins, Colorado. I didn't start that correctly. Let's try it again. There we go. All right. Where am I going? Chad, where are you located?
On Vancouver, BC.
Vancouver. Fantastic. I'll be heading up there next month for the first time.
Oh, nice.
I'm looking forward to it. All right. Here we go. Like Google does, it gives you a couple route options. And let's see, that would be, oh, I'm not sure about that drive. I might come up a little. Yeah, that would be more interesting. Let's take that one. Wow, it's approaching 1,500 miles. That's some distance out here in the West. All right. We're going to go visit Chad. Now, pending calculation means it's going to push this back to BC and look at the mileage rates you have set up in the system and do that calculation. But there we go. I'm going to go visit Chad. It's going to say, hey, did you go home or go someplace else? And off we go. So again, trying to make it pretty straightforward there. You can always look at, of course, the history of what you've submitted and the status associated with it as well. And like I said, corporate credit card charges, you can automatically reconcile those in BC too. So a lot of time-saving options. I think the real big thing for folks is, again, getting those expenses flowing in during the month instead of having that month-end crush and then and avoiding those surprises, right? And so if we can help you, of course, smooth that out a little bit, give you some more insight, and make your expense folks a little bit happier, that would be really nice to do. All right. So that's a quick walkthrough of document capture and expense management. I'll go ahead and stop sharing there. Well, I'll share again if I need to with the questions, but hopefully that gives you a flavor. If you have more specific questions, again, let's arrange a time to dive in a little bit more in particular, and be happy to do that for you. So, Chad, thank you again for allowing me the time to talk about the exciting world of invoices and expenses. Do we have some questions to go through?
Yeah, thanks, Mark. That was great. There's a couple questions. One is, where are invoices stored?
Yeah, that comes up quite a bit. And so generally folks are going to start out storing those in BC. But honestly, the real question is, does it matter? And it doesn't matter. So we do give you an option. If you are processing, on the order of 300, 400, 500 invoices a month or more, you're going to want to start out with not storing those in Business Central, but storing them in Azure Blob Storage. So we provide you the option of Business Central or Azure Blob Storage. Sabre will help you set up Azure Blob Storage if you want. It's really just a separate part of the cloud. From a user standpoint, you will have absolutely no idea where they're stored. You will not see any difference in terms of performance and retrievability and things like that. Azure Blob Storage is just super cheap cloud storage that outside the BC system. And the reason I gave those numbers is because over time, if you're operating with a significantly high invoice count or a medium invoice count, that's going to add up, and it may constrict your storage requirements a little bit inside BC.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks for asking. Yeah, good.
There's two more.
Yeah.
The next one is, how long until updates are made in the web approval portal till they show up in BC?
Yeah. So I tried to make a point about this. People are used to having to wait, right? Because it's two systems talking to each other, and that's not the case for us. That web approval portal is just a different view of Business Central. That's the way to think about it. Anytime you see data in the web approval portal, it is BC data. As soon as I make a change in the web approval portal, it will show inside BC.
Okay, that's
Good
good. And then
clarification.
the last one is, can invoices and expenses be coded to dimensions?
Yes. Oh, actually, you touched on that with the configured fields. Again,
Hmm.
any field inside VC, you can expose that within the expense entry. On the invoice side, I didn't go into that as much. You have the option to expose just about any VC field as well as part of the invoice capture. And yes, you can code invoices to dimensions at the header level or the line level. And again, you can use one of the options is allocations. So you can
Hmm.
split that invoice up across dimensions, again, at the header level or invoice level. So we offer you a lot of flexibility in terms of how you're coding that, because again, that can get pretty particular, and every business seems to have something slightly different going on with that.
Yeah, sure. Okay, I think that's it for the questions.
Super.
Thanks to everybody that attended, and we want to thank Mark for presenting today. It was a really informative presentation.
Thank you.
Hope everyone learned something, and then have a great day, everybody.
Excellent. Really appreciate it, Chad. Take care, everyone.
Thank you.